Hey guys, I'm Sadie, and today we're getting back into Buried. We are starting chapter 3, and the story is really heating up. If you missed anything, I don't want to spoilerize you, so go ahead and look in the links down there. There should be a link to the playlist with all the other chapters that we've already done. You get caught up easily, and you won't have to miss anything. But we're going to get right into it because stuff is going down. Oh, wow. We follow Marcus into what I can only describe as a control room of sorts. There are countless computer screens, some of which are obviously coming back on from having been shut off. Everything looks extremely complicated, from screens filled with code and data to what is obviously a security system. It reminds me of a miniaturized version of the operations center in just about every space travel movie that I've ever seen. Marcus is running from one screen to another, apparently looking for some pertinent bit of information. "Where's the first aid kit?" I snap at him. Marcus stops in his tracks, as if he has forgotten the whole reason for bringing us down here. "Oh, yeah," he says, rushing to the left side of the room. There, he hunkers down by an open panel in the wall, what I assume is the emergency vault from which he got the rifle. So do we look at the computer monitors, or do we look in the vault? Well, I'm afraid there might be more weaponry in there, and Marcus hasn't really shown us to be a trustworthy person. We even said earlier it's not the kind of guy I would give a gun to in a problem. I think we need to look over his shoulder. I peer over Marcus's shoulder into the vault he's opened. It's much larger than it looks from the outside. It's partially filled with file folders marked classified and a few rounds of ammo for the rifle, a peculiar plastic kit filled with syringes, and a locked black box. As Marcus digs around, one of the folders slips open. For a split second that it's open, I see a scanned document and a color photo. The photo shows a male corpse with its guts on the outside of its body, as if it has been turned inside out. There's also massive swelling on his head, almost like his skull is about to explode. Marcus slaps the folder closed, and then I turn my attention to one of the syringes. It's filled with violet-colored fluid that, while rather pretty in color, looks deadly. Marcus finally pulls out the first aid kit and turns around. When I look back to motion Dennis over, he is paler than ever. "Come on," I tell him, but he's not moving from the place on the floor where he sits against the wall. I slide the first aid kit over toward him and go scrambling to his side. Between the struggle for the rifle upstairs and then arriving in this room, he has faded fast. I struggle to lift his shirt up and then over his shoulders as the dried blood holds it in place. The mere act causes him to grimace. "This might hurt a little," I tell Dennis, but he only nods. He doesn't seem to care. So do we pull his shirt off gently, or do we rip it off like a Band-Aid? Well, I say we be a bit gentle. We don't want to reopen what we don't have to. So let's do gently. You decided to pull off Dennis's shirt gently. I lift the shirt off gently and it makes a sucking sound. There's so much blood that the moisture tries to keep the shirt pulled to him. Dennis lets out a little moan, but then seems to relax in spite of his injuries. With the shirt fully removed, the extent of his injuries becomes more clear. His wound is more visible now, although it's partially hidden by the blood that has started to clot around it. My medical knowledge is slim, basically just a bunch of basics that I learned in Boy Scouts. I look over to Marcus hopefully and I ask, "Do you have any training?" "Zero. Sorry." It's just as well, I guess. He's far too concerned with what's happening on the monitors to be of much help anyway. I start by taking out the several rolls of gauze within the kit and I wipe as much blood away as I can from the wound on his side. It's even worse than I had figured from the start. The gash is deep and dark. I'm pretty sure it's infected, too. He's gonna need stitches, that's for sure. But I have no idea how to even start with that. Besides, I don't see the tools for it in the kit. When I splash rubbing alcohol over the wound, he responds with a hoarse yelp of surprise, but nothing more. His eyes are locked on me, and he looks appreciative, but he's also scared. "Be honest," Dennis says hopefully. "How bad does it look? You think I'll live?" Oh, Well, it sounds really bad, but do we want to tell him that? Now, everything that I know, you lie. Oh, no, you'll be fine. Oh, your head's coming off. No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So we're going to lie. You choose to comfort Dennis. That's a nicer word than lie. Good to know, he says, because I sure don't feel like that. Well, you've been through hell, I say. I think it feels worse than it actually looks. Thanks. That's a relief. I won't lie, but we did. You're gonna have a scar, I say, trying to be funny. He chuckles a bit, but there's no humor in it. He rests his head against the wall and closes his eyes while I finish up. I place one layer of gauze against the wound and bind it with medical tape. Then I reinforce it with a second layer. I know it's meager, but it's all I can do. Thanks, Roger, he says, actually managing to force out a smile. I feel a lot better. I think I'll be fine. I'm not so sure about that, but I'm glad I was able to encourage him. Finally, I patch up the bruises on my head a bit, cursing myself again for not grabbing my hard hat. I look back to Marcus, and he's looking back at us, deep in thought. My eye is starting to really swell up from where he kicked me. Maybe I shouldn't have let him off so easily. Are these first aid kits all you have in the facility? I ask him. If there's something better, I don't know about it, he says. I notice then that his defensive posture is no longer there. Something is different now, just a slight change to his demeanor. He's seen something on the monitors that has him frightened, more so than he already was before. What is it? I ask him. What's wrong? His eyes travel around the room, and it's obvious that he's trying to decide whether or not to tell me the truth. So, come on, spit it out, or get up and have a look for myself. I'm thinking look for myself. Rather than wait for him, I get up and scan the screens behind him, seeing if I can find any clues that I had missed moments ago. After a few minutes, I see a few things that even I can comprehend hidden in the complex information on most of the screens. On one screen, I see what looks like a power meter that is slowly climbing upwards. A single message is flashing beneath it. It reads, "Unexpected power failure, foreign entity." Another message trickling along the bottom of the black screen says, "Safety locks on level 3 containment doors engaged. Override." I see still scenes on a few other screens, and I assume are security cameras showing hallways and passages from somewhere else in the facility. One of them shows the first level hallway that we were just in a few minutes ago. Another shows a hallway that I don't recognize. The floor's covered in blood. From just off the screen, I see what I think might be a human body, but it's bent in an impossible way. It looks like the body's legs and torso have somehow been merged or melted into the floor. That's gross. So do we ask him what is wrong with the systems or what happened to that person? You know what? I want to know what they're doing in their spare time, melting and merging with the floor, so we're going to ask him what's going on with these systems. This place has backups for its backups, Marcus says. It's not ever supposed to suffer a full electrical shutdown. Well, what does foreign entity mean? I ask, hoping that he has a sane answer. I have no idea. That keeps coming off and on. Whatever it is, it keeps entering and exiting and setting off the sensors. What the hell? I ask. There's something still happening? We're still in danger? He turns away, clearly fearing that he has already said too much. And as bad as that is, there's a scene on another monitor that makes my blood go cold and my fear spike to levels somewhere near terror. This scene is very familiar. It's the logging site. The equipment is unmistakably mine. I can even see my truck. Something like fury starts to rise up in me, momentarily pushing aside the fear. For a moment, I consider just tearing into Marcus, a few punches, maybe a shove against the wall, nothing more. I want answers, and I want them now. But I'm not sure which would provide more answers, asking him calmly or just kicking his ass. Well, he is a mousy little bastard, isn't he? Maybe we should be aggressive again. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna be aggressive again. I figure since he's just an IT guy, I can probably intimidate him. I grab Marcus by the collar of his shirt and I point to the screens. "Why have you been spying on my crew?" I shout. "It was part of my job," he says. "Mine and a few others. Your crew has been watched ever since you set up your equipment." "But why?" Marcus tries to draw up some anger of his own, but it isn't as toxic as mine. And still, I know there's a fight on my hands if I want one. "Because," he says, "your logging site was set up less than a mile away from the entrance to a highly classified government facility." "Well, how the hell was I supposed to know that?" I scream at him. "Where are the signs and the guards?" Marcus gives me that same crooked, trembly smile that's beginning to creep me out. "Because those things would draw attention to this place," he says. "You have no idea how secretive this facility actually is. Besides, I know that the higher-ups looked into it. Your site isn't on government land. It's shy by about 300 yards. Every piece of your equipment is on private property, the timber tract you purchased from Mr. Gladstone 2 months ago. So even if we wanted to intervene and keep you away, we couldn't have without stirring up a fuss. Now, the fact that someone new with such a low-level clearance knew this much about my crew is unnerving. If you've been watching us, why didn't you recognize us when we met in the hallway?" I ask him. But he shakes his head and he exhales like it's obvious. "The cameras have a bird's eye view. I can't see your faces. We just track bodies and names." So, where the hell is my crew? Or ask him calmly. He's being upfront with us. Let's not escalate it any further. Let's calm it down a little bit. "So since you have all this surveillance, do you know where the rest of my crew is?" I do my best to keep my voice level, even though my impulse is to shout. "Well," Marcus says, "all of you were on site as usual before the incident. It had been a few hours since I had checked on you, though. They might have come near the facility, or maybe not. I don't know." He says this casually, like it's not really important. "Well, are they inside the facility?" I ask. "You have cameras everywhere, right? Do you see them?" Marcus shakes his head. "I've been looking all over, and I haven't seen your crew. They aren't here. But," he adds, "the lower levels don't have cameras. It's classified. I'm not sure how they would have gotten down there, but it's a possibility." I'm still shocked that we were being watched. Do they know everything about us? "I'm telling you," Marcus says, "the depth of influence in this facility, it runs deep. There are 36 employees down there. Outside of those employees, only 5 other people know that this place even exists." So, what the hell goes on here, or do we continue to be calm? He's being pretty forthcoming. We'll continue to be calm. "What do all these people do here?" I ask, still keeping my voice level. He doesn't even pause to consider whether he should go on any further. He actually laughs when he gives me an answer. "I honestly don't know everything. Probably very little, but what I do know is that it's even more than Black Ops." "What's that mean?" I ask him. "There are scientists here who have been disowned by their own governments because of the nature of their work. Do you get it now?" But I don't. Not at all. But I don't want him to know that. "You said there are 36 employees. Where are they?" But he shakes his head. "As far as I know, everyone else is gone." "Gone where?" He points at a screen that still informs us of the unexpected power failure, and he cringes. If this power failure was not corrected in time, there's no telling. "But they're here in the facility somewhere, right?" I ask, hoping someone will be able to help Dennis better than I can. I just don't know," Marcus says. "They could be anywhere." "Look," I say, furious with the way he's talking in riddles. "I don't—" "Oh, God," Dennis says. I look over to him and he looks pale as a ghost. He has stood up and his eyes are locked on the monitor closest to him. "What?" I ask. But he simply points at the monitor and then looks away. I look at the monitor and I see the logging site, but more specifically, I see the overturned dozer and Tony's crushed body several feet away from it where I had pulled him out. Tony. The fact of his death seems abstract, almost like it happened in some other world or a very long time ago. "I know that you already told me he's gone," Dennis whispers, "but it's different actually seeing him. My God." Suddenly, something blazes by the open door outside. The shape is fast, and in shadows, I'm pretty sure it's a person. But someone else is here, Marcus says, wheeling around. He sounds very happy to discover this, so I try to follow his lead. If something bad happened at this facility, then surely the sight of another survivor is a good thing, right? We should check it out, he says. I realize this isn't the best moment to leave Dennis after revisiting Tony's death and all over again. Someone just ran by the door, I tell Dennis. Hopefully it's someone who can help us. So do we say we'll be right back, or are you going to be okay if I leave you here? We really need to follow. I'm going to leave him here. I'm going to say we'll be right back. That seems fairly reassuring. It's fine. Go see who it is, he says, and he gives me a mock thumbs up. I turn to Marcus and I motion for us to head out to investigate. Let's be careful, Marcus says. Depending on who it is, they might not be as hesitant to shoot a stranger as I was. I nod to him as I head for the door. I'm still holding the rifle in my hand, and I don't know if I have the guts to actually use it if I need to. With a final look back at Dennis, I run out into the second-level hallway. Oh boy. That's a gurney. Marcus follows. There's still fear in his eyes, but also the slightest glimmer of hope. And that hope is contagious. We take off after the figure that just ran past the command center. Ahead of us, the facility presents yet another long hallway. Right away, I note that on this level of the facility, it seems darker, even though the lights are now all on. The hallway is adorned with numbered yellow doorways and large white panels along the walls. It's clean and well-maintained, but there's something ominous about it. Up ahead, I see a fleeting motion of something dark cutting quickly to the left and down a corridor. There, I say quietly and point up ahead. Marcus gives me a nod, and we continue chasing after the person that we saw blaze by the command center just moments ago. It then occurs to me that this person could be like Marcus was at first, armed and scared. So should we shout after them, or should we move toward them slowly? Shout after them. I don't want to spook them if they come around the corner. Hey, stop! Who's there? I get no response, and I'm unsure if I should be relieved or upset. The last person we met nearly killed me with a rifle. Why would this person be any different? I quickly dart around the corner and take the same shooting stance that I've seen countless times on television. There's a woman standing there about 10 feet away. She had reddish blonde hair and a small, mousy build. She looks terrified and is visibly shaking. She's probably in her late 30s. She wears a lab coat with dark jeans and green Converse low tops. I have a strange sense that her fear is not just about our sudden appearance. She looks like a woman who's been running scared for a while now. Her hands are raised in surrender. She's not holding a weapon. Marcus slowly approaches. He takes a few steps ahead of me. It's Amy, right? He asks. She blinks, seeming to be surprised that he knows her name. Yes, she says. And you're Mark? Marcus. She nods absently and then looks at my rifle. So let's not threaten her. She looks like she's ready to bolt. I'm not going to use it, I tell her. Now how do I know that? She asks. You're trespassing on government property in the midst of a huge catastrophic event, and you have a rifle. How am I supposed to believe you? I have a friend back at the command center who needs medical attention, I say, and we're looking for the rest of our crew. I'm really sorry, but I don't know where they are, she says. Do you know what happened? Marcus asks, from the power outage? I don't know what caused it, she says. But there was an experiment taking place when the outage occurred. Something happened, and she trails off there, giving me a look of distrust. I saw things on the security monitors, Marcus says. The experiment failed, didn't it? I don't know the specifics, Amy tells him. I barely escaped the 3rd floor. I was going to go to the command center to see if the security footage showed anything, but then I saw you and the gun. Listening to their conversation, I'm feeling totally in the dark. What experiments or what has you so scared? Let's talk about what has her so scared. Amy looks at me, her eyes wide and terrified. Who are you anyway? She asks. I quickly give her my story. I'm a logger, stranded in the woods, following a peculiar explosion at the logging site. As I tell her this, recognition blooms in her eyes. You're one of the loggers. Yes. She then looks at Marcus and says, I thought they were being watched. They were, Marcus says. This was a freak accident, and there's no proof that they were responsible. I feel myself wanting to submit to all of the questions that are piling up in my head, but Dennis is back there waiting for me. Should we? Yeah, let's ask for medical help. Amy's got to know something. She came from a different floor. She's seen shit. I decide that despite my curiosity, I need to get Dennis help as soon as humanly possible. Look, is there any medical help to be had here or not? I ask. Probably, Amy says, but you'd have to find Colonel Barksdale. He knows where all the sorts of supplies are. And where is he? Where's everyone else? I ask. At this, Amy starts to weep. She falls to her knees as if someone had just struck her from behind. They're gone, she says. Some were killed and some were just... I don't know. They disappeared right in front of me. What the hell is going on is too harsh. This is too harsh for her. So, disappeared? Yes, she says. They were here one second and they were gone the next. Just like that. Gone. Something's here with us, Amy says. We were conducting an experiment and it all went horribly wrong. Something came through. Came through what? Marcus asks. I don't even know that much. An entity. But whatever it is, it's still here somewhere, Amy tells him. How could you not know? Don't you have full security access? I ask. No, I have access to almost everything, but there are 2 levels of security beyond even my clearance. So what do you suggest we do now? I'm not sure, she says, wiping away her tears. But if you want to find your crew, we have to find Barksdale. He's in charge. Where is he? I ask her. He's down on the 3rd level, in the hangar. Then let's go. It's not that easy, Amy says, looking again at the rifle in my hands. Why not? Like I said, something came through when the power went out. There are several of them, all roaming on the 3rd level. All right, we need to get a little more butch because she's getting a little more riddly. So let's do what came through. All I know is that the others referred to them as entities. Amy shudders as she recalls the horrors that she has seen. I don't even know how to describe them. I didn't really get a good look, she says. What I did was run for my life, and behind me, I heard screams. I know it's not very scientific of me, but I didn't feel like sticking around to learn more. She's right, Marcus says, stopping my train of thought. The things I saw on the monitors, it was crazy. This is insane, I bark. I am going to the 3rd level to find this Barksdale guy. Thanks for your help. Wait, Marcus says. I'm sticking with you. If we want to get out of here, we have to both find Barksdale, right? Yes, Amy says, but Barksdale's on the 3rd floor, and it's too dangerous to go back there. I figure I'll let them make their own decisions. In the meantime, I start heading back to the command center to get Dennis. But before I get there, I hear their footfalls behind me. They're getting closer. I give Amy a questioning look, and she quickly looks away. She's clearly torn. Neither one of you know your way around here, she says. Looking for Barksdale on your own would be suicide. Like it or not, she has a point. Fine, I say. Then let's get Dennis from command and head down together. Oh boy. Be alive, Dennis. We enter the command center, and I'm happy to see that Dennis has regained some of his color. We're going to get you some help, I tell him, and then we're going to find our crew and get the hell out of here. More help would be great, he says. With the way you took an hour to get my shirt off earlier, I'm not letting you touch me again. Wait, Amy says, maybe one of us should just stay here with him. I'll be okay, Dennis says, and he stands to his feet with a grunt. You don't know what's out there, Amy says. I saw them. I saw what they can do. This facility is not safe. Oh, what can they do? Are any of them on this floor? Are any of them on this floor? I'm not sure, she says, but they're definitely down on the 3rd floor, so we need to be careful. Marcus looks a little hesitant, but he nods his agreement, and the 4 of us exit the command center. Heading back out into the hallway, I look back at the monitors. I take a final look at the screen that shows my wrecked logging site, and I feel a pang of sorrow. Then I look at the other monitors showing live feeds of the facility's security cameras. I try to tell myself that I am not looking for any sign of Amy's creatures, but I can't. That is exactly what I'm doing, and there's no need to pretend otherwise. We head back through the hall and toward the elevator. The tension exists between us like a physical presence. Oh boy, please don't be in the elevator. Scary monsters. We step inside the elevator, and those pristine doors close. Inside the elevator, Amy seems to become much more guarded and distant from us. I want to assure her that I mean her no harm, but I'm also not going to put the rifle down. So, you have pretty high clearance in this place, right? That's right. What kind of experiments are we talking about? What went wrong? When she starts to answer my question, I can tell that it's something of a relief for her to get it off her chest. There's been a lot of work on a project taking place here over the last 3 years or so. The purpose is to find out if there's any real viable science behind point-to-point instantaneation. Woof. Like teleporting, I ask? Oh my God, Marcus says. I had no idea. I knew there was some weird stuff here, but nothing this insane. It's really not all that insane, Amy says. We found our first major breakthrough about 9 months ago. We were able to transport a live rat from its cage on level 3 to a small lab in New Mexico. The trip took the rat 5 seconds. Are you kidding me? Dennis says. I can tell he wants to sound as if he's mocking the idea, but he kind of fails. He's scared. No, not at all, Amy says. The problem was, when the rat arrived, its retinas were detached and its intestines were on the outside of its body. That's gross, Amy. Thanks. So, what does this have to do with us now, or did you ever perfect it? Perfect. Well, about 6 months ago, we successfully made that same experiment. The rat arrived in great health, and this time in just 3 seconds. Still, one of the things that we needed to tweak in order to make the process completely safe was to figure out how to keep the subject on a straight course. When the matter's being transported, not only are its atoms being unknit and then put back together on arrival, wait, unknit or transported? Unknit. Unknit is the weirder thing now. Yes, deconstructed and translated through space. It's the only way we know how to do it right now. But the issue, as I said, comes in keeping the deconstructed subject on a straight course to its destination. When the process occurs, we are deforming space-time. We're creating a shortcut through space, and that has risks. Why exactly? Dennis asks. Because there are many more dimensions in space than the 3 we exist on, she explains. It's actually 4. Time is a dimension. There's some evidence that there are as many as 10. So when you send the rat to New Mexico, it's traveling through another dimension to get there? I ask her. Well, basically. And because of that, we were trying to get a better understanding of what those other dimensions are actually capable of. Things that a great deal of the population would be afraid of if they knew what we were doing, hence all the privacy. But then today, the power went out right as we were in the middle of an experiment. Something happened. What, I don't know. She's speaking with the authority of someone who knows what she's talking about. So, is that why those creatures are now here? Or what have you seen in those dimensions? We can assume that's why the creatures are here. So let's ask her if she's seen into the others. Other worlds, other Tegmark universes, which would be multiverses, where our laws of nature, they don't apply, she says, not bothering to explain what that even means. I'm not cleared for such things, but I do get the reports. What reports? Marcus asks. I'm given access to the results of the tests. In other words, Marcus replies, clearly upset, you guys have been peeking into other dimensions and taking notes on what you see. I can't believe I have wasted my life on this, he murmurs to himself. He looks like he's about to freak out. Amy is quiet. Her expression indicates that she's waiting to see how I will react to all of this. Oh, you folks are insane, or that's incredible. Well, it's pretty incredible. I don't want her to mouse out. I don't want to escalate what he's doing. Maybe he'll turn his freak out toward me if I seem to be a little supportive and stop taking it on her, because she knows a lot of stuff. That's a lot of talking. Let's do that. You are impressed by Amy's work. So this is like, what, interdimensional stuff? I ask her. In a way, Amy answers. Marcus, on the other hand, is incredulous. I don't want anything to do with this, he says. All this time I've been working for... He laughs cruelly at this, and the sound of it makes my blood go cold for a moment. Just a single level between my feet, and you assholes have been tearing apart space and time. When the elevator doors open, I can't get out fast enough. The tension is growing way too thick for my liking. Outside the elevator, we step out into what appears to be a massive industrial area. The carnage waiting for us is unlike anything I'd seen on the upper levels. Oh boy. Let's go. Oh no. There's red juice everywhere. Think it's Kool-Aid? The area looks industrial, like everything was built for utility only. But more noticeable than all of that is the blood. My God, I have never seen so much blood. Those creatures must have had a field day. Holy shit, Marcus says, looking like a man who's just awoken from a very bad dream. There were more personnel in this area when the experiment went haywire, Amy says, as if the explanation would make it all better. The research you all do down here had better be worth it, I say. We have to get moving or we're going to lose our nerve. Amy, focus. Barksdale's in the hangar? I ask her. If he's still alive, yes, that's where he'd be. Then let's hurry, I say. As far as I can tell, Dennis is doing much better, but I'm beginning to grow tired of trying to keep my fears at bay. Between the blood on the floor and the silence of level 3 and Amy's talk of lab rats, I'm getting freaked out. Amy, you take the lead, or I'll go first. I need to go first. I have the gun. So, I mean, she can direct me from the back seat. That's fine. The four of us start walking ahead with me in the lead. We stop walking when we come to the remains of what looks to be 3 different people. It's hard to tell how many bodies there were because they've been torn to shreds and are, well, distorted. 2 of the bodies look as if they've been fused together. Another man looks to have had his leg welded through the floor. I can see the man's face. He died in an abject state of horror, his mouth pried open in an internal scream. Investigate the bodies or keep moving. Oh, that's pretty gross. Let's keep moving. It's simply too much. Worse than that is the fact that we have just started our journey through level 3. If there is worse than this waiting up ahead, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. Dennis steps up beside me, and when he speaks, his voice is soft and flat. What in the hell could do that to someone? He asks me. The things I saw, Amy answers, they could do it pretty easily, I think. She looks pale, and I think that she might pass out at any moment. Tears spill from her eyes, and she's visibly shaking, but she soldiers on, looking back to me and stepping to the side of the gruesome carnage. Her eyes again go to my rifle, and she doesn't look very hopeful. You good to go? She asks me. We need to move on, but for some reason I can't take my eyes off the scene. My mind is reeling, trying to process all of it. Yeah, let's go or look around some more. I think we just need to go, because whatever did that could do that to us, and I kind of like my guts on the inside, so let's go. We leave the grisly site behind, moving into another equally destroyed area. From what I can tell, the next room was once an open area for experimentation. The place hasn't just been destroyed, it's been physically altered in a way that doesn't make sense. The girders look like they've been warped. Their very materials are distorted and twisted. To my right, a machine has been catapulted and it looks to have somehow merged with the wall rather than crashing into it. Beyond these phenomena, there is a standard violence that I was expecting to see. There's a limp arm sticking out from underneath the wreckage and more blood. I see no signs of an explosion, which makes me wonder just how this happened. Seeing the aftermath is sickening enough, but it makes me wonder if Amy saw it while it was happening. Did you see what happened to the girders? Did you see how these people died? Oh. I really want to ask her about the people. Let's go for it. I only caught a glimpse of it, she says, taking a deep breath. I was closest to the exit, so I just started running. But it was like trying to focus your eye on something that was too close. People's bodies just started twisting and turning, and the thing that did it, it looked like... She doesn't finish. She's cut off by a sound echoing through the facility. It comes from behind us and is slightly to the right. I'm not sure what it is, but it makes my blood go to ice. It sounds almost like static from an AM radio, but there's a high-pitched noise beneath it that I can't even begin to fathom. What the hell was that? I ask, instantly clapping my hands to my ears. It's one of them, Amy says, her voice in a whisper. It's one of the creatures. That's what they sound like? Dennis asks. I see that he's leaning against the wall again, wincing at the noise. I suddenly realize that I have a death grip on the rifle and I'm ready to shoot at the next thing I see. How far away, or anything between us and them? Anything between us and them. Not really, Amy says. None of the hallways are blocked off by security doors. Everyone seems to take this as a cue to start moving. We make our way around the office wreckage, now with new purpose to our step. We barely make it to the other side of the room, approaching a long dark hallway, when another high-pitched noise sounds out. This one is louder and closer. We all share a terrified look, and I can tell that Amy is on the verge of losing it. I grip the rifle tightly as we head toward the hallway in front of us. How much further can you kill these things? Can you kill them? I don't know, Amy says. Dennis speaks up, his voice is like ice. Then let's all ask, huh? No one says anything after that, but I can feel the presence of terror all around us, pressing in on us like some new violent gravity. Oh, that doesn't bode well. The small utility hallway is well lit. No, it's not. It looks as if it was designed to only be used by select maintenance workers. What goes on in this area? I ask. I'm looking at Marcus as I ask the question, but he only shrugs. She might know, he replies, pointing at Amy. I've never been down here before. It's just a utility hallway, Amy says, but at the end there's a maintenance room. There should be a gun or two down there. It's also the most direct path to the hangar entrance. As we walk quickly and quietly down the hall, I take a glimpse ahead and feel the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. The lights become more sparsely spaced, and it's impossible to see just how far the hall extends out into the darkness. This hallway has the occasional trace of bloodshed, but nothing like the main area that we came from. We continue further down, and just as I begin to see what looks like a large metal door further ahead, I hear yet another shrill sound. This one seems farther away, but no less demonic. How many of these things did you see? Dennis asks Amy. 3, but that's just what I saw. There could be more. What do they look like? Dennis asks. Can we talk about something else, or what are we dealing with? No, we need to know what we're dealing with. I don't even know how to explain them, she says. They're monsters. That's the only word I can think of. My mind seemed to struggle just trying to understand what I was looking at. They're big, and they seem to jerk around every few feet or so. They look like they're made of light. That's about all I know for sure. You know, my ex-husband always said I would let my work kill me, she continues, seeming unable to stop herself. I mean, I doubt he imagined it would be this exact scenario, but still. As we make our way to the hangar doors, another high-pitched noise rings out. It seems angrier now. Amy stops walking, causing all of us to stop and turn to her. We have to do something to slow those things down, she says. No, Marcus snaps. There's no time. We need to distance ourselves and get to the hangar, and fast. But Amy ignores him. She's deep in thought. There's an old hydraulic door set into the wall right around here, she says. It hasn't been used in years, though. She looks at me, pleading her case. Together, we might be able to pull it closed behind us and keep those things back. Those old hydraulic doors weigh a ton, Marcus says. There is no way this will work. Roger, Amy says, what do you think? They'll have a harder time getting at us if the doors are locked. Look, Marcus shouts, turning to me. We need to get to the hangar now. We need to put something between us. You decide to close the doors. Damn it, Marcus says. We don't have time for this. Amy ignores him and starts feeling along the hallway wall for a groove. Dennis and I start looking as well. About a minute passes, and then I see a small metal frame that runs from the floor to the ceiling. Is this it? I ask. Yes, Amy says. I look to the floor and I see an old metal track that runs along the frame. Let's move it, I say. Amy, Dennis, and I start pulling as hard as we can, but it barely budges an inch. Behind us, the static noise rings out again. My heart seems to stutter, and Marcus lets out a little whine. We're running out of time. We need to go, Marcus screams. Those things are getting closer every second. Well, then help us, dummy. It won't make a difference, he says. Shut up and help us, and then we'll find out, I shout. Reluctantly, Marcus walks over and grasps the door. We all groan and strain to pull. It starts inching slowly, and then it begins to move steadily. Once we get it started, it slides easily. As we near the wall, closing off the hallway behind us, I think I can see the merest glimpse of an odd illuminated shape in the darkness. But it's cut off by the slight thump of the hydraulic door being pushed against the frame in the opposite side of the wall. Amy turns the lock into place. Great. Now let's haul ass, says Marcus. And we all turn and get moving again, still feeling unsure about our prospects. The fact that yet another shrill noise sounds out elsewhere in the facility is not at all calming. And then there are two of them. It's almost like they're calling out to each other. The doors to the hangar sit up ahead like the entrance to some enormous labyrinth. Let me guess. The doors are locked. Oh, that's bad. When we reach the hangar doors, I get a true sense of how impenetrable they are. A computer terminal is mounted on the wall nearby and has a blinking red light. Any idea what this means? I ask. That's an automatic lock, a failsafe from the lockdown, says Amy. I've never been down here before, Marcus says. If I had known that this door was here, I would have opened it earlier. How? Amy asks. The fear in her voice is more present than ever. From the command center, he says. You need to override it from there first and then use the terminal to open the doors. The command center on the second floor? I ask. Yeah. Amy shakes her head and lets out a nervous laugh. You're kidding me? She asks. We just pulled a hydraulic door and blocked off the hallway, remember? If we want to get into the hangar, we have to go back to the command center, Marcus says. There isn't another way. Turning to Marcus, Amy says, well, there is another elevator, but we'll need to go through biochem storage. I need to stay with Dennis so he can rest, I say. Why don't you two go? You know your way around this place, and you know the controls. Fine, Marcus says, but we need to be armed. Oh, give Amy the gun or give Marcus the gun? I don't trust Marcus. Give Amy the gun. You give Amy the gun. I hand Amy the rifle, and she turns to go. Marcus gives me a concerned look, but follows along behind her. Once Amy and Marcus make it a good distance down the hallway, Dennis lets out a nervous laugh. And then there were two, he says. Dennis looks much better, but he still needs to use the wall to stay standing. Didn't Amy say that there were guns and emergency kits in the maintenance room near the hangar doors? I asked. Yeah, I think so, Dennis says, looking exhausted. I look ahead and see a door to the right that reads maintenance. Might as well give it a try. I go to the door and try to open it, but I find that it's locked. Oh, crap. Well, he hurt his knee, because he had mentioned it. He hasn't mentioned it in a while, but he did hurt his knee, so let's push it with our shoulder. I give it a hard shove, but it doesn't budge. I'm about to try again, but that's when I hear a gunshot from just down the hallway. My first thought is that Amy and Marcus have come upon one of those things, one of those monsters, but I don't hear any of that strange staticky sound that I've come to associate with them. Alarm bells are going off in my head, and before I know it, I'm heading back down the hall away from the hangar doors. You stay here, I'll be right back, I whisper over my shoulder to Dennis. See if you can figure out how to get into the maintenance room. Where are you going? He asks, but I don't bother answering him as I bound through the door where Amy and Marcus went. Oh, crap. Oh. Ooh, this is messy. They need to clean up their toys. As I enter the biochem room and start walking between the massive silos, I wonder what classified chemicals could be inside them. I am fully expecting one of Amy's creatures to come flying out from one of the intersections of halls up ahead. I think I overhear a voice, a woman's voice. It's Amy. Stop! Let go of the gun! Let go of the gun! I run ahead so fast I almost trip over two people in a life or death struggle. My mind tries to process what I'm seeing, but it makes no sense, none at all. Marcus is wrestling with Amy, trying to take the gun away. When this doesn't work, he throws her on the ground and he begins to choke her. Her face is turning purple and her eyes look like they might pop right out of her head. Marcus sees me coming out of the hallway, but acts as if what he is doing is perfectly normal. Stop him! I start rushing toward him before I really know what I'm doing. I bring my fist down in a hard arc across the bridge of his nose, and I am rewarded with a sick, cracking sound. He cries out as he falls to the ground, looking at me as if he doesn't understand why I would punch him. On the floor, Amy clutches at her neck and gasps for breath. I start to fear that I was a moment too late, just as I see that the rifle has been thrown across the floor. Marcus also notices this at the exact same moment I do. Oh, hit him again. Hit him. I'm wanting to hit him. Hit him. I deliver a surprisingly strong blow with my right hand, clipping his chin from my awkward position. I'm in the process of planting a knee in his chest to hold him down when his left foot comes out of nowhere and lands hard. The kick catches me squarely in the ribs, knocking the breath out of me. "What the hell are you doing?" he yells at me. "By killing her, I'm saving us, all of us. This was her fault." I sense that he truly believes this. But if that's the case, then why not just attack her when we were all together? But the answer is simple. We would have stopped him. He wanted to kill her in private. But then what? What would he have done? Would he have done the same to me and Dennis? It seems fitting, really. When we first came upon Marcus, he held a gun on us. I'd been so relieved to see another human being that I had underestimated just how unhinged he actually was. Marcus and I dive for the rifle, still laying on the floor, and start wrestling for possession, but I'm not confident that I'll come away with it. As we struggle, he begins inching the muzzle of the gun toward my face, a position I do not want to be in. I start pushing back hard. But if this thing accidentally fires, I'm not sure where I'd prefer the bullet to go, especially in a room full of chemical tanks. Force it toward him. I grunt as I push the muzzle to point toward his face. Realizing he is literally looking down the barrel of a gun, Marcus ducks his head out of the way. This makes him lose leverage, allowing me to yank the gun from his grip. I get to my feet as quickly as I can, swinging the rifle back around on him. For a moment, I think I've knocked him out, but his eyes flutter and he looks at me as if I've betrayed him. "Her people," he says. "It was them that did this. She deserves to die. She did this." I look at Amy and I wish that I could help her. I am relieved to see that she is managing to draw in a few breaths. Her legs move as she tries to push herself into a seated position. "You wouldn't know," Marcus says. "You didn't work here under their secrecy. You don't know what it was like to—" He surprises me by lunging at me, leaping from the floor like a human projectile. I don't even have time to aim carefully. I have to react fast. Dodge. I don't want to shoot. His aim is poor and his strength is failing, so I dodge easily. I don't want to have a gunshot go off and alert the creatures to where we are. Exactly. Making a hard jab of the butt of the rifle and striking him in the chest, something crunches and he lets out a whoosh of air. He crumples for a moment and then goes to his knees. He's roaring in pain on the floor. Only, after a few moments, I realize they are not purely screams of pain. The bastard is actually calling for them. He is calling to the creatures to come for us. "This place is evil, along with everyone involved," he wails from the floor. "If you're taking her side, then you deserve to die too. If you want to stop me, you'd better do it now, you coward." The rage in his eyes at Amy, as well as towards me for stopping him, makes me think that he'll deliver on this threat. I raise the rifle again, every urge in my body wanting to make sure he doesn't come back to bite us. But I'm not a violent man. I could easily not kill him and just leave him behind. Dude, he's making all that noise. The creature gonna come for him. Let him live for the next hot 3 minutes. You decide to let Marcus live. Just like when I could barely shoot earlier when he was coming at us, I can't bring myself to deliver a killing shot. I ignore him and I lean down to Amy. "Are you okay?" I ask. She nods slowly. "Have to go," she says, her voice raspy. "They'll be here any minute. Too much noise." I have to hold her arm so she can get to her feet. We start forward, and then I think of Dennis. We should go back to the hangar doors. I can't just leave Dennis there. "No time," Amy says. "You need to come with me to the command center now. We'll be back for him soon." "You're all dead now anyway," Marcus shrieks. "If they don't get you, I will." He laughs maniacally after saying this, hooting like a madman. As if in response, a high-pitched noise tears through the hallway. I feel it in my bones. "They're following his noise now," Amy says, her voice is still weak. She takes off away from Marcus, presumably toward the other elevator that she had mentioned moments ago. I follow after her. As we move out, I hear Marcus slowly push himself up off the ground and stumble away, slipping in between the tanks and disappearing. We begin running, and after the first few strides, another noise sounds out. It sounds mechanical, but at the same time, it also reminds me of recordings that I've heard of whale songs. A sound of metallic creaking and crashing echoes through the door that I came through. "They've reached the hydraulic door we pulled," Amy says, confirming what I'm thinking. The sound grows louder, and it's clear that they're struggling with it, which is good. We have a little more time. I speed up my step to follow Amy as she leads the way to the other elevator. She is panting furiously, but pushes on. I can hear something rattling in her breath, likely the result of Marcus's attack. This makes me imagine how his cold, uncaring eyes must have looked, staring down at her as he tried to deliver her to death. How she is still forging on is beyond me. "I'm sorry about Marcus," I say. It's not your fault," she interrupts. "At least you handed me the gun. I just hope we can find a way to survive this mess." "We'll be fine, don't you worry. Don't say anything. We'll be fine. I'm Mr. Optimistic." "I'm not so sure," she says, her eyes fixed straight ahead. And I'm not sure I can blame her. I had just wanted to say something encouraging, I guess. We finally come to the elevator at the end of a row of silos. The elevator doors slide open slowly. At that moment we hear something behind us, a strangled sort of whistling sound. We step inside and turn around to face the biochem room, thankful that we've been given a few moments to spare. The elevator doors remain open for 3 seconds before they will begin to slide closed again. In those 3 seconds, I see a large shape floating toward us. A phosphorescent white glow outlines an impossible shape. Behind it, I see another that's also entered the biochem room, and another. The third one breaks away from the other two, taking a hard right. It moves with eerie speed. That's the direction Marcus went. Honestly, the thought of them hunting him down doesn't really bother me. Amy is pressing the button to close the elevator doors over and over, but they stay open for what seems like an eternity. I curse whoever designed these damn elevators. Let's hide. Maybe they haven't seen us yet. Maybe not. Amy and I slide ourselves up against the sides of the elevator, trying to avoid being seen, but I can't help peeking around the corner. I hold the rifle steady, ready to fire, and that's when I see them in clear light for the first time. I can see their features, their shapes, their colors, but my mind can't quite process it all. Nothing about them makes any sense. My eyes try to see a squid, but that's not what these things are. They're gray and white and seem to be nothing more than squirming light. Their appendages are neither legs nor tentacles, but somewhere in between. They don't walk on these appendages, though. They use them to glide. They move like ghosts, and they seem to jerk every few feet or so. I'm pretty sure this jerking effect is not a result of their moving, but my mind's inability to understand how they are moving exactly. It's also more than their appearance that makes a mockery of reality. The light around them seems to bend inward, as if the space within the room has to reshape itself for their mere existence. That peculiar effect on the air makes their movements seem like something underwater, only faster. They screech in unison as they rush toward the elevator. They'll be inside here in another few seconds. I check the rifle and see that my ammo is diminishing. I have to start saving my shots. I'm going to have to be choosy. Crap. If they're made of light, nothing's gonna happen. Don't shoot, save ammo. They keep advancing. Even though I know the doors may not close in time, I manage to keep my cool and avoid firing off any rounds. My finger itches to pull the trigger, but I resist it. I'm not even sure a gun would affect them. Finally, the elevator door closes. The creatures wash against each other on the other side, making an electrical noise and crying out in anger. The tips of their spider-like appendages, oh, goosebumps, poke through the wall of the elevator door, but for some reason they can't get all the way through. Amy screams at this and curls into a ball in the far corner of the elevator, crying. I say nothing to her. I just cling to the rifle and hope that the creatures don't find Dennis as he waits by the hangar doors where I left him. For his sake and ours, we need to get them open now. End of chapter 3. Let's see what our choices meant. The blunt truth. You and 59% of players told Dennis that he would probably be fine. Slow them down. You and 35% of players sided with Amy to pull the hydraulic doors. Who to trust? You and 69% of players gave the gun to Amy. Murder or mercy? You and 58% of players let Marcus live. An hour later, you and 68% of players conserved your bullets for later instead of shooting at the creatures. Interesting. So I went with the majority of the time, except for the hydraulic doors. Most people didn't do that. That's fascinating. Well, man, we've got ourselves in a bind, huh? We're separated. We're all scattered. Marcus is Looney Tunes. Dennis is really hurt. The stupid door is locked. The other stupid door is locked. I have a funny feeling, too, that Marcus was lying to us. Like, that it doesn't require going all the way back to the command center to override so that you can undo the door. I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It kind of seems sensible, but really good lies also seem really sensible. And I think he had it out for Amy for a while by then. Like, as soon as her story started coming out that she was one of the techs downstairs doing the experiments. I don't know. Leave a comment down below if you have any other theories or any other bits of the story that you'd like to explore further with me. I'd love to hear whatever you guys have to say. This is pretty fascinating and definitely high on the creep factor. But until next time, guys, I'll see ya.